Let's bring in our panel from Washington. Matt Schlapp, contributor with The Hill, Anna Palmer, senior Washington correspondent for Politico, and Tom Rogan, commentary writer for The Washington Examiner. Okay, Matt, your thoughts?
I think that's a little bit, that tweet, once again, sometimes it's to know exactly what words are meant. But this goes to the fact that we have terrorists living amongst us, obviously in the UK, obviously here in America. And this is one of Donald Trump's big themes, which is we are going to root out the terrorists who are here, and we're not going to let any more come, and we're going to be as aggressive as we possibly can be. And I think this is just another example, another wake-up call to the West.
Anna.
Yeah, I think actually what's really interesting here was Theresa May and how she responded. She's always careful with her words. This was a genuine slapdown. I was talking to my colleagues in London about this. They said that Downing Street was seething about this. What will be very interesting to watch is what happens at the UN General Assembly. There's an expectation that they will kind of partner together, that there won't be any long-standing harm there. But it's something that will be certainly all the reporters will be watching.
Yeah, they had a conversation, President Trump and the British Prime Minister, Tom. The White House is saying that was very cooperative, and obviously you heard the remarks this afternoon from the President.
I think what sustains the relationship, though, is frankly what's always sustained it, which is that beyond the values, the intelligence sharing especially is so deep and so integrated and so beneficial to both nations that there is no real interest in allowing disagreements. I mean, there was a disagreement today, that is true, to progress. And I think as you see this plot, as the terrorism alert level went up to critical this evening in the UK, that suggestion of potentially a broader threat here, again, reinforces why the British will say, as much as the Yanks might annoy us, we need their help on these things.
Also from that White House press briefing with the U.S. ambassador to the UN and the National Security Advisor, obviously the focus on North Korea. Take a listen.
What we are seeing is they continue to be provocative, they continue to be reckless, and at that point, there's not a whole lot the Security Council is going to be able to do from here when you've cut 90% of the trade and 30% of the oil. So having said that, I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options.
For those who have said and have been commenting about the lack of a military option, there is a military option. Now, it's not what we would prefer to do. So what we have to do is call on all nations, call on everyone to do everything we can to address this global problem short of war.
Tom.
Yes, and I think what you see there, H.R. McMaster is correct. There is a viable military option. It goes also into some areas in terms of preventing potential counter-retaliation from the North Koreans, but they don't want to do that. I think what you will see coming up now is increasing pressure on the Chinese in terms of banking institutions that act as cutouts, individuals, to help fund the North Korean regime, because ultimately at this point, with the timeline of North Korea approaching a credible ICBM plus warhead capability, you've kind of got to roll the dice or you've got to use military action, and clearly no one wants to use military action yet.
Anna, since the President's Fire and Fury North Korea has launched 2 ballistic missiles and completed a nuclear weapons test.
Yeah, I think obviously they are not moving back. His words, he likes to be the strong president. He likes to use aggressive language in Twitter, on Twitter, and as well when he's kind of making statements about this stuff. But as you see, his administration, his officials often say they want a global response. That was Secretary of State Rex Tillerson today. They're trying to have an approach of caution because nobody wants to go to war right now.
Matt.
Yeah, I think this is peculiar to have General McMaster really kind of be forceful about this military option. It seems a bit almost like in response to what Steve Bannon said either on or off the record in the interview where he said, there's no military option. They seem to be very forceful of this idea of a military option. And then you had Secretary Rex Tillerson saying, they are increasingly an aggressive nation. And, these missiles, they're now within range of Guam, of our military installations. So, at what point do we then say they've crossed the line and they're actually being an aggressor? I think this is incredibly dangerous, and I would encourage them just to continue to say every option is on the table and there's a lot of good options.
Well, Tom, that's a good point. Just very quickly, where is the red line for this administration on North Korea?
Well, I think to some degree they want to make sure they don't do what President Obama did in 2013 and draw a red line they don't enforce. I suspect, though, it is a missile going further out over Japan towards Hawaii, and at that point, then we go up to the next level, and that gets very complicated.
But we care about Guam too. I mean, let's think about this. We care about our allies in the region. I mean, this is it's getting a little silly to say where would that line be, right, Brett? It's like they've surpassed it.
Right. Well, we're going to shoot something down.